Zoom.
Oh, so that's the advantage of the YouTube, is that it's the unedited. Is that it?
You
Well,
get
you get all the
all of it.
bonus. You get the
All the
bonus
bonus
coverage.
coverage. Okay,
Yeah,
I like that. So like
yeah.
when we get up to get another beer, or okay, all right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get it. All right.
Well, you are the most social media illiterate millennial we know. So
That is true. That is true.
now another thing I wanted to cover too, which is fits into our topic of beginning of year and beginning of FI, right? Which
Yep.
is basically what we're talking about is optimization. And this is something that, again, you brought up a good point earlier, accountant, about how we get complacent each year. So
Yep.
it can be a mental list, or, if you're at the beginning, you might want to just jot yourself down some notes. And I've always worked hard to spread things out in the year, so it's a little easier to manage, but you should be looking at your car insurance. Can I do better this year? Is there a better provider, or is there a different rate class? Maybe you're working from home now and you can slice off that business or work usage that you don't need anymore, right?
Yep.
Your home insurance, you're home more often. Does it affect your insurance? Can you get a better provider? Your bank accounts, are you getting the highest savings rate if that's what you're using? Your brokerage accounts, Chris Istas posted on that if you transfer a lump sum into Investor's Edge right now, they're giving you a whole whack of cash. Are you using the brokerage that suits your style of investing best? Or if you don't have a brokerage yet, have a read through all the posts that are out there and choose a good one, right? And use somebody's referral code. Doesn't have to be ours, but use somebody's.
Yeah.
I was super excited that a coworker of mine just like opened up Equestrade and moved everything over there because he was talking to another coworker who I'd helped through like a year and a half ago. So I'm like, this is great. Like the fire's spreading, right? Somebody else is learning and wants to learn on their own.
Yeah.
And then I heard that he didn't use anybody's referral code.
Well, because you
I'm like,
normally get money too.
It doesn't have to be. Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be mine. I'm not a referral. Like, I don't care. I really don't care. But I just anyway. Yeah. So it's the optimization of like your cell phone. Do you have the best plan? Are you paying what you should? Your internet. I'm sure this happened to everybody last year. It's like all of a sudden I was like, why do we have Crave, Prime, and Netflix? A, we're watching way too much TV, and B, now we're like 30 something a month for like mostly garbage, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So we slashed Crave off there because, well, Billions wasn't back on TV, so I might have to come over to your house and watch through the window because if we're not allowed to see each other.
Yeah, if we're not allowed to see each other, you might be out of luck.
But and I think that's one of the wicked things now that none of us realize is that subscription model is just killer, and we're all victim to it.
Well,
because
why do you think that software as a service is becoming such a popular model? It's because people can get you locked into, here's the X dollars you pay every month, or here's the X dollars you pay every year. I know what my revenue streams are. All I have to do is meet my requirements and I'm making a bunch of money.
You know what I'd like to see? So I bank with TD, right? So, and I use my credit card for everything, which is good because it basically tracks your spending.
Right.
You know what? Nice breakout to be. And here you go, all you financial institutions that are listening and just waiting to give FI Garage sponsorship is how about a section that is recurring payment section, like your subscription section? When you look at your balance a month, just like a little breakout and go, these are all your monthly recurring. So it's a snapshot, because unless you're really diligent about tracking your spending, which if you want to get on the serious path to FI, you should start that off. But what about that just pops up and goes, oh, right, I've got Spotify, YouTube Premium. I didn't even know there was YouTube Premium, but apparently there is.
I didn't know.
So all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm up to $175 a month in subscription spending.
Right.
There's $75 that I can be investing every month, or whatever your number is, right? I mean, if you value that much subscription service, go for it. Like, I'm not telling you that's wrong. I'm just thinking it's a thing where
just be aware of it,
as part of the optimization project is like, knock off the low hanging fruit first and then work your way through. And you might get to the point where you're like, okay, now I'm talking about optimizing, and we don't bring up the latte factor on the show, but it's the recurring costs that you're ignorant of, and how it impacts your spending or your finances in general. And I think is what I'm trying to say is it's a good time to have a look and say, okay, maybe this year I'm going to change this and take that money and invest it instead, right?
Yeah. It's a good time to look at all of that. Another one that it's a good time to look at is, in terms of back to basics as well, is investment fees.
Totally.
Because a lot of times you may be in something that did have a very good fee structure that doesn't anymore. Just because it had a great MER once upon a time doesn't necessarily mean it still does. So it's a good time to check. I've also seen brokerage houses do it where you were at, you only needed $25,000 in the investment account to not have a monthly fee. Well, for 2021, they upped it to 50 and you're not there yet. And now you're going to have to pay account fees. Fees are a huge factor and deter greatly from your returns when you're investing. So just because when you first invested in something, the fees were good, doesn't mean they still are. Once a year checkup's a really good idea on what kind of fees you're paying.
So what's your highest fee?
For what?
An ETF.
His highest fees are options for sure.
Well,
for trading commissions, absolutely.
Trading commissions.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
But I opened a new brokerage, Jan 1, that has much lower trading commissions.
Don't mention the name.
Options.
Don't mention the name. We're totally done with free promotions on this show.
That's fine.
Until the second show of the year when Mechanic has 4 people to give free advertising to.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, if you want free advertising, it comes in the form of a can.
That's right.
Yeah, no, you make a really good point there. Fees are a total wealth killer, and Larry Bates wrote all about that in his great book, Beat the Bank. That's actually almost 2 years old now, I think. So somebody has my copy, and I want it back, but I'm just probably gonna buy another one and reread it.
Yeah, that's a must read for sure.
He highlights a lot of that, right? The fee structure, and he does it the way he graphs it out. I never know. I haven't been on video before. Is this like the graph going higher, or is this the graph going higher?
Other way.
First one.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Which is backwards to me because I do a graph like this when I look at it. Right?
So we're all mirrored.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to remember that. This is still up. This is still up, right? Like that way?
Yeah, it is up.
Yeah, that's still up. You're fine.
You're not on an airplane flying upside down. So do you know your highest MER?
0.45 ZDV.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be one of the REITs, right? Or the dividend ones. The REIT ones are pretty expensive too.
They can be, yeah.
They're usually around 0.5.
But this is especially killer is the one I was looking at is I'm forced to invest in Manulife mutual funds through my RRSP matching at work.
Oh.
So I don't get a good choice, right? Like ETFs are pretty stable, but a lot of these mutual funds, you'll pick a mutual fund and it'll have been at 0.75%, 1%. And then you take a look and how did I get to 1.75%?
They fluctuate their rates?
They can, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Huh. So, I mean, advantage, you're getting the match.
Yeah. But well, because it's super common in mutual funds, right? That mutual fund didn't go well. So we're going to close it and roll it into this mutual fund because it actually performed decently so that we can say that we have good performing mutual funds.
Right.
And if you get rolled into one of the good performing mutual funds that happen to have a higher MER, there you go.
You bring up a good point with this discussion about fees because listeners that are new to the FI journey or new to the show here, they may have been doing really good with, whether it's employment pensions that are invested through the plan or whether they've got a bank, that's got RSP, they open an RSP and they've got mutual funds and things like that. That's also part of this journey too, is having a look at what you already have. If you have stuff and going, oh, you're right. I'm in an actively managed bank run mutual fund, or maybe you're in a CI fund or whoever fund you're in. It doesn't really matter. I'm not picking on any mutual funds in particular, but go, oh, well, that's a place where I can optimize and knock a percentage off what's being taken from me every year, right?
Yeah.
So totally important. Yeah.
We're talking to you, Money Master.
No, well, you're talking about the one he's got on his RSP, aren't you?
He always twits about having a high MER.
Yeah.
In his portfolio.
But he's always like, it does really well though.
Yeah.
Another topic that we're going to get into, and we won't do it today, but there's been a whole lot of noise about different actively managed funds. And it's interesting that it comes from the FI community because we're supposed to just index and chill.
Right.
So we're going to get into that on another episode, these actively managed ETFs. And the thing about them, without going too far into it, is, one of the sayings that we all like is be greedy when people are fearful, and be fearful when people are greedy. And all I'm seeing is greed. So I'm like, nah, I think I'm just going to stand back here and watch. So, and that comes up with another fun episode that the accountant's going to love. It's a 3-syllable currency that we'll deal with. 3-syllable, 3-letter.
I can't wait to just brag on that.
It's going to be a fun year. And eventually we're going to get back together in the garage when somebody gets poked with a needle and has a vaccine.
Yeah. Right. Can't wait to get back to the garage.
Yeah.
How do we YouTube that?
Oh, together?
Set up a camera off to the side, or what's the deal?
We'll figure something out.
There's going to be some more expenses this year, eh?
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently you got to buy a wheelbarrow.
Yeah. I got the wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow's ready.
Perfect.
All right. Well, what about, we didn't talk anything about mortgages. And this is a big part of a lot of Canadians and probably a lot of our listeners, whether you either don't have a mortgage or you do and you want to optimize it and you're on your path to FI, or you've just joined or just started and you're kind of like, okay, I've got this giant mortgage. What do I do with it? And for that, I would say Smith Maneuver may be an option for you. So listen to some of those past episodes. I chose a 30-year amortization, but we had a little interesting exercise and discussion about this a little while ago. Economist?
The mortgage myth, or the mortgage myth.
The mortgage myth, yeah.
That was another Twitter one, and I'll just read it here. It says, taking a mortgage over the longest term possible. Smaller monthly payments equals more spare cash to make overpayments, which comes straight off the capital, equals less interest, equals pay it off quicker than you usually would.
That's what I thought. I got a 30-year and I was like, oh, I can make extra payments. I'll pay this off quicker.
Here's the thing with math.
Yeah.
I'm not as good as you. Is that what you said?
Well, it's really the thing with any mortgage. No matter the term, you're getting charged interest on your loan monthly. And that's the first thing your payment goes towards, is the interest that you accrued over the past month. And the term just determines how much principal you're going to pay off. So a 30-year mortgage, you'll have a smaller principal regular payment, and a 20-year mortgage, you'll have a larger principal portion of payment. But the interest portion is always the same if the interest rate's the same.
Right. And so therefore, if you have a 30-year payment, and let's call it $1,500 a month, and you have a 20-year payment that's $2,000 a month, if you select the 30-year at $1,500 and put the extra $500 down on payments, you have the same 20-year mortgage. It has not changed anything, because the interest you are paying is still the interest you are paying on that lump sum amount of money that is outstanding.
So the 30-year gives you more flexibility, but it doesn't change the amount of interest you're going to pay month to month. What changes that is how much you put towards the mortgage.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand that with mortgages, is they see all these different amounts that you can have to pay, but they forget that a mortgage payment is made of principal and interest. And the only thing that changes the interest is the interest rate on your mortgage.
Right.
Or the total value owing.
Sure, the lower total, but I mean, that's a function of how you calculate interest.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, exactly. No, that was a really good one, because I disagreed with you guys at first, and I had to go and start doing a bunch of math myself, and I'm going, crap, I think they might be right. I'm like, the economist and the accountant know their numbers better than the mechanic. Yeah, go figure.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
When it comes to helicopter aerodynamics, you guys are screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. When is that next episode?
We can talk about it anytime. I got to do lots of numbers for that. But
Okay.
no, I think it makes a really good point. One of the reasons I did choose the 30 was to get the lower payments with the intention of topping it back up. And like you said, is having that flexibility. And I'll come back again to being a contractor, or like the economist has talked about in the past, having fluctuating income streams. You want to have that the optionality to raise it up when you can, bring it down when you can, and get through it. So that was definitely a thought for me. But I also was under the false impression that I was like, well, if I top it up, I'll be paying less interest, which is clearly not the case.
No. You know, it's interesting. You really, if you're going to go with the flexible option, you have to be honest with yourself about how
diligent you will be to make extra payments.
That is a very important point, because this is assuming an ideal scenario, right? Now, if you have lower payments and you start spending a bunch of that extra money and not putting it down, well, then, yeah, that is a longer term mortgage.
And you just ended up with paying a whole lot more interest.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all other things being equal, we're not talking about an emergency fund in EQ Bank or in any bank right now. If you had $5,000 sitting in a savings account making, well, EQ is 1.5 as of recording today, and mortgage rates are very low, but mine is still 1.85. Why would I have it in that account instead of on my mortgage? And I won't, well, the next part is that I borrowed it back, but doesn't it make sense to use it in there instead? I mean,
that's just interest rate arbitrage.
It's just the arbitrage, yeah. But the thing is like I don't mind, like if it's sitting in an EQ account, and it sort of comes back to your original comment in the beginning, Economist, like, well, why aren't you just investing that all year and then transferring in kind? Right. It's like, so why am I saving it in an EQ account to make a lump sum mortgage payment? Just pay it to get it done, and then reborrow if you want to do it, right?
Yeah.
I think a good way to end the show probably is to go with, well, 2, we forgot that this is our opinion only.
Right.
All of this,
everything.
Only. And also that the natural one, personal finance is personal, right? And, the beginning of the year is a great time to review your personal goals and your personal finance and try and, optimize what you can. And I'm not a huge, I shouldn't say it, like, I don't want it to come off the wrong way, but I'm not like a huge goal setting type of person. I'm not like a New Year's resolution type of person. That's not really my thing. I like to make progressive, gradual, good decisions, learn more. As I think one of the hard parts is with this journey is it doesn't happen like this. You can't just read every blog out there, listen to every podcast and go like, boom, I'm done. I did it. I'm on the path to FI. It's a constantly evolving journey, and you need to do a little bit of self-education all the time, because I'm learning stuff all the time. I'm sure you guys are too, right?
Well, and new stuff is created all the time.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I guess I should probably use a little bit of that, or use a little bit of that, or absorb a little bit and go, that doesn't work for my particular scenario. So that can stay over there on that shelf, but at least I know what it is now.
Right.
So yeah. And if you've just joined the FI Garage, apart from the beer, that's what we're here for, is probably teaching each other as much as anything and sharing what we learn, right?
Absolutely. And we have a very exciting next episode.
Wow. Way to set that up.
Yeah. Well, we have our first ever official beer sponsor.
We do have a sponsor.
Second sponsor.
Second sponsor, I guess.
No, I said first official, actual.
A brewery.
Like a
real brewery.
Like a real live brewery.
They are backing up the brewery truck and unloading beer at our house.
I don't know if that's exactly how it's going to
work. That's how I
hope so.
That's how I picture it in my mind.
Okay.
All right. Well, shout out the Pink Fuzz, which is not usually, I wouldn't have been a shelf pick for me, but I'm glad Blair did, because it does break away from the IPAs that I drink way too much of. And it was pleasant, and nice black artwork on the can. So thanks again, Blair, for that. And it was a good one.
Yeah, this Backcountry Brewing is delicious as always.
And thanks to Kevin as well.
Oh, yeah, Kevin's our #1 fan.
Kevin's great.
Yeah, he is. We got to have him back on the show.
We should. That's true.
Definitely. Well, he listens, so I was just going to text me and be like, all right, when am I coming on the show?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, boys. Well, I don't know if we covered everything we wanted to cover, but it's always a hard one to go back to basics. And I think all of us, I don't know, the new year kind of comes in with a bang, and you feel a little overwhelmed by everything to start with. So take your time and sort it out. You got 2 months before your taxes and your RSP deadline. So do some math shit up. Oh, I think that's taken. I'm not allowed to say that because MR says
it might be copyrighted. Yeah, tough luck.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time on the FI Garage. This is Money Mechanics signing off.
Farewell.
Cheers, guys.